Hello everyone. I spoke a couple days ago about the upcoming Saturn stationing retrograde, and I just noticed that Mercury, which stations direct here in the US on the 3rd of June at the end of this week, is very closely squaring Saturn. So they're both stationing more or less within a day of each other in almost an exact square. So let's share the chart so we can all look at that together. Here's Saturn at 25. This is pretty much a day before beginning to station retrograde. Squaring Mercury, this is just less than a degree away from each other. Stationing direct at 26 Taurus. So this adds an important dimension to what's unfolding right now, and I want to just offer some reflection on it. A few days ago, I went to sleep thinking about how all of the boxes that we have around each other, be it our political party or our way of life, our lifestyle, our views on anything at all, our political views, right? There's a tendency that I find for us to unknowingly project these cells that we put around each other that say, you're here, I'm here, this is your reality and this is my reality. And we categorize it in such a way where we can sort of other one another. Like, oh, that's them, or that's other, or this is what they're doing to us, or that's how that person behaves. It's so normal to act in these ways. It's actually very socially norm. Anything that's socially acceptable and normal, it's easy not to see what's really going on underneath it. What makes it so easy is it allows us to create a false sense of security in just putting a box around people or groups or anything that we see outside, and we can just say, oh, that's them, that's what that is. And it's a way of affirming our own sense of self and creating a sense of belonging and security for ourselves. The issue is when we zoom far out and we just look at life as it is, underneath all of the identifications and affiliations that we have and what we think defines us is something so intrinsic. And it's a great analogy to use a school of kids, like a nursery. You can tell they're all just playing, right? Like, you might have some kids resonate with other kids in certain ways, and they don't have to resonate in the same way with all of the other kids. But there's no sense necessarily, until it's conditioned or learned, of I don't interact with those kids, right? It's just we form resonance. But then there can be like sports, suddenly you're resonating with someone else, or you can find when it comes to puzzle time, you're resonating with someone else. We form bonds and friendship based on what is naturally resonant between us, and it's not something we plan or try. It's just sort of self-evident. It's inherent. It's natural. But it's not natural to look and say, well, that's not me. That's not where I belong. Because actually, we can't be belonging and identifying not belonging at the same time. It's more a matter of where is energy right now. Giving attention to where the energy isn't is something we actually have to learn. It's something that the mind is conditioned to do. And that's a part of what creates these projections of division that we have between one another. These projections of division, of divisiveness, crystallize our sense of belonging in particular categories. And because it's not actually like that, because our affinities with life and our affinities with one another are very innate and very intrinsic and very fluid, right? We might disagree with a person of a particular political or social or religious orientation, but we both might love playing Jenga. And playing Jenga is like a particular archetype for a particular kind of person that loves really detailed attention and likes to go slow, and it might be really good for like a Virgo type person. It's really measured, but it's also competitive and also kind of cooperative. There are just so many ways in which we all come together and resonate. And we don't have to look for them. It's more of this open-minded curiosity to be receptive to the truth of them. Mercury moving direct in general often speaks to a synthesis that's emerging. A lot of the discussions or information or explorations or researching that's been present for the past few weeks, there's a sense of this is beginning to come to a culmination. Intellectual clarity, right? The clarity to make some decisions. And really, it's about organizing our reality in a way that is more cohesive. Mercury's always looking for cohesion. How can I think about this that makes logical sense? That's why with Mercury, we need to be we need a certain level of open-mindedness and receptivity and adaptability to all people and all experiences and all interactions, so that we're open enough to learn something new. That learning will add more context, more information to our existing framework of knowledge in our mind. So then we're able to be like, oh, okay, now I get it. Here's a way of thinking. The tension that this transit really strongly points to is that sense of differentness, where we can become almost doubled down in a loop of thinking the way we are comfortable thinking. This is my world. This is my worldview. This is what I'm like. This is what I like. And this is what you like. This is where I belong. This is what I don't belong. This is where my life goes. This is where my resources come from. These are the options, the resources, the pathways in life that I'm able to logically apprehend that are possible. And what's the issue with Taurus? And this is exasperated or intensified when you include Aquarius. The issue with Taurus is limitation of perspective. On the one hand, Taurus is a profound attunement to resources and what's available, where we become attuned to the possibilities in life because we're in touch with our needs. We're able to feel our feelings and see the possibilities all around us. There's an inherent resourcefulness and skillfulness, practicality that's brilliant in Taurus. Yet the limitations are only knowing what we know and not being able to look outside of that. That can easily lead to a lot of survival crisis, or when it comes to interpersonal dynamics, this unwillingness to budge or see outside of the world that we know. So Mercury and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius, both of them stationing, there's a calling here to open our mind a little bit. We might be facing a sense of stagnation, not knowing how to open these doors, right? The resonance with belonging and clarity of direction, be it in our social life, in our personal life, our sense of belonging in the world with our work, a sense of direction and purpose and excitement, and almost like how to overcome this impasse, how to see things such that we are opening to more resources, more possibilities. That's the block that we can be experiencing. So this square is really pointing that out, bringing that up. And the invitation is to open up the mind, relax. See, where are we being stubbornly fixed on constructs that perpetuate separation and crystallization of this is how it is, this is where you are, this is where I am, this is what's possible, this is what's available. See more. The brilliance of Mercury and Taurus stationing direct with Aquarius is what's possible, right? What's possible. And the theme is about cooperation. Working together, not just socially or relationally, it's just in a larger sense with life. Resonating, working on our vibration, being in resonance with life. It's a state of cooperation, a mindset of cooperativeness that allows all that's needed to become self-evident. The resources, the pathways, the opportunities to share our gifts, the opportunities to see ways of investing our time and our efforts and energy. Taurus is a garden in fertile earth that can blossom into a very vibrant and healthy and useful ecosystem. There's always this issue with Mercury of perspectives, and we can get stuck in that place. The security needs of Taurus, it's not wanting us to get stuck in striving for security and belonging and clarity, because a lot of that might be a strategization around a sense of depression or a sense of things aren't flowing or clear in the way that I want to. But to move beyond the instability that can come in sort of dueling perspectives or thoughts that are just sort of disembodied, is to come back to our alignment, an attunement to the truth of our life, and a broad, grounded, self-respecting openness to feel our way into what's here now, what's emerging now, coming back to the nursery of kids. There's a whole lot of toys, a whole lot of kids. And when we're not putting these boxes and categories around ourselves and one another, what's possible? And it's really good at this time during this week to just simplify. It's always good to simplify. But to imagine, like, you know, putting all the toys away, taking some space from the affinities that we've been holding on to, the ways that we've been holding on to, just to see, like, okay, from a clearer Aquarius, stepping back a little bit, a more broad-minded point of view, to see more objectively and clearly. And remember, we're always attuning to the intelligence of life that has its own rhythm. The algorithm is set. So we're learning to live in harmony and in resonance with that. And that's where I think that this time can really bring a lot of beautiful opening and new perspective, new insight. Mercury, new clarity, new formulations of logically understanding our life that feels clear, that feels grounding. It's ruled by Venus as well. It's closed by just looking back at this chart. I know it's ruled by Venus, which is also in Taurus, moving towards Uranus over the next week. So as this Mercury moves direct and it squares a Saturn moving retrograde, Venus is moving towards Uranus, which rules that Saturn. There's a lot here around resources and possibilities and pathways and sharing and opening up our mind in broader ways. Any place right now where there's a sense of lack or deprivation or crisis or disconnect from what we feel we need, be it physically or socially, is where there's an opportunity for a shift in perspective. So I think this can really speak to a time of opening to see things in a really beautiful and new way. Reminder that the retrograde class series is for sale. This class series taught the evolutionary meaning of all the planets in retrograde. In each class, we also spoke about the meaning of planets when they station retrograde and when they station direct. So you can buy the whole class series together, or you can buy individual classes. Check it out and learn more in the description below. Thank you for watching.